regular Talabheim model for the Empire State Trooper, you're going to need these colors: Skull White, Blood Red, Caradon Granite, Shining Gold, Bolt Gun Metal, Deneb Stone, Mechrite Red, Astronomicon Gray, Calthan Brown, Talon Flesh, that's Talon Flesh, my most highly used paint color, which is why it's all beat up, and Bata Black and Ogryn Flesh. Okay, and before we begin, just wanted to make a special mention that this is going to be my Christmas present to a subscriber of mine, Man of War Gaming, who asked for an Empire State Trooper. I looked up his YouTube video this morning in my subscriptions page, and I saw that he got an Empire Battalion box and a General for Christmas, and I was really happy, along with some paints that are very geared towards painting Empire troops. I think he got Mechrite Red and Astronomicon Gray, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna help this guy out and give him a little tutorial. He asked for one in my last How to Paint an Astro Claus video, and I thought I'd help a brother out, you know, pay it forward. So here you go, Merry Christmas, Man of War Gaming. Hope you enjoy, and for everybody else, I hope you are able to get some form of either entertainment or education or just insight on how I painted my Empire State Troopers. Latest players! Okay, so I've got my primered up, glued together Empire Swordsman. I'm gonna get started painting him. I'm gonna get started actually with the 3 paints that Man of War Gaming got for Christmas. It was his request that I do an Empire or Talabheim soldier. So he asked for either Talabheim or Altdorf, and they're both basically the same, predominantly red, except that Talabheim has red and white, whereas Altdorf is red and blue, and so I decided to go with Talabheim instead. So if you want to do an Altdorf soldier, then all you have to do is think about changing the grays and the whites to more blue colors, and you'll get the same effects. Everything else, the reds, the details, all the other little bits and pieces, just you can follow this tutorial and get the same effects. So I'm actually going to start with the 3 of the 4 paints that Man of War Gaming got for Christmas. They're all foundation colors: Astronomicon Gray, Mechrite Red, and Calthan Brown. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start building a base foundation for our reds and our whites, as well as picking out the brown details. So we'll use Calthan Brown to paint any leather pouches, the belt, anything that you think needs to be brown or leather on your model. You can base with that. Mechrite Red is going to be for the, of course, the red parts of the uniform, and Astronomicon Gray for the whites. Now you can do the actual uniform color in a couple of different ways. The first is that you can paint the entire like lower half of the model in one color and the upper half in the other. For example, having white breeches or leggings and a red shirt, or vice versa. So what I've decided to do is to give this guy more of a uniform looking feel. I'm going to make him, I'm actually going to paint him a different way, which is called quartering. I'm going to paint him in quarters, which means that his right leg and his left arm will be painted in white, and his left leg and his right arm will be in red, or those halves of the uniform. So like when it goes to the back, that's how we're gonna split up the back of the uniform as well. So I'm gonna get started on that, putting down the base colors. He's got this chest plate over the front, so we're going to leave that for now, but like for the breeches, for the leggings, everything else we're going to start painting in quarters. Okay, so I'm going to get started on that, and I will show you what the brown, reds, and gray details look like in the next step. Right, so we've got the red and the gray down. I decided to paint the little scarf around his helmet as well. I've also painted the straps in Calthan Brown around his leg and wrapping the chest, the breastplate to his body. And I painted the shield red and the skull and the studs on the shield because they're going to be gold later, so I decided to base them in brown now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some new colors. We're going to mix in blood red to the Mechrite Red, and that's going to be our highlight color for the red pieces. I'm going to mix in Skull White, Astronomicon Gray. We're also going to paint the flesh, the skin of the hands and the face, Talon Flesh, and we're going to base coat the feather in Deneb Stone. Okay, so those are the 4 new colors we're going to be adding. Once we're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and paint the silver. And the silver on the model are going to be painted in bolt gun metal. So that goes for the sword, the helmet, as well as the breastplate. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the breastplate silver and have the detail on it. I'm going to paint that in gold. I'm also going to paint the little hand weapon here on clipped to his belt in both gunmetal as well. The last thing that I've noticed are the little purity seal looking things, like here flying on the side of the model and here on the side of his leg. So I'm going to paint those in Deneb Stone as well. Okay, so going from the top to the bottom of the model again, Deneb Stone for the feather, bolt gun metal for the helmet, Talon Flesh for the face, bolt gun metal for the breastplate, Deneb Stone for these little purity seals on the side, bolt gun metal for the sword or the little dagger scabbard, purity seal over here, Deneb Stone, hands in Talon Flesh, and sword in bolt gun metal. So I'll see you when those steps are completed. Okay, so our model now should look a little something like this. We've got just about all the base colors down except for the gold metallics. So what we're going to do is we're going to paint the gold bits here, like here on the shield, the gilding on the armor, as well as the tips and details on the little hand weapons. You can also choose where you want to paint your gold detailing because each of these models is very different and unique, sculpted very differently. So you can mix and match, put your gold detailing wherever you want. Anyways, wherever you choose to have your gold detailing, just make sure you have a good foundation color on there first. And so for this one, I'm choosing Calvin Brown, and the shiny gold I'm now going to paint right over it. After I'm done with that, I'm going to wash the gold as well as the skin areas with Ogren Flesh. And the silver metals, I'm going to wash those with Badab Black. If you find that the Ogren Flesh is too red for your gold, you can also try using Griffin Sepia, which is a nice warm reddish wash to put on your gold. Or you can just, if you decide you want your gold to be a little darker than what I'm going for, then of course Devlin Mud or Badab Black works really well. So I'm going to paint those now, and I'll show you what those look like when I'm done with those. Also for the feather, I am going to paint little stripes of Caridon Granite just near the bottom, just to give a little bit of color and definition. And for an example of those, you can check out any of the models that the Games Workshop studio has painted. A lot of the feathers in their Talabheim State Troopers, these red and white guys, have slashes near the base, or little slashes of black. So I decided Chaos Black was a little too black, Scorched Brown was too brown, so I'm going to go for a nice middle tone and do Caridon Granite. Okay, so I'll show you what those look like, what that all looks like when we get back. Alright, so a couple things. I filled in his teeth with Deneb Stone and then Skull White, and then I started building the skin color back up with a mixture of Talon Flesh and Deneb Stone, and then a fine glaze of Ogren Flesh wash after that. So you don't have to, but I tend to find that the more successive layers and glazes or washes that you do, the more depth you'll have to your skin tones, or any tones for your uniform for that matter. The gold looks really good on the chest plate as well as on the shield, and like I said, I did something different. I shaded them with Ogren Flesh this time, and that gives it more of a reddish bronzed color, which I think for a rich state trooper such as this, the Talabheim and Altdorf state troops tend to have more money and be a little bit more ostentatious and clean and well scrubbed with their uniforms and everything. I think it lends itself a little bit more accurately to that. For the feather, I gave it a wash of Bad Ab Black, and it's filling into the recesses nicely. So I am going to let this guy dry. I'm going to base him, and then we will finish this model with a wrap-up, because that's about all we have to do. So we'll see you at the end of this video. Alright, and there you have it. Here's our finished Empire State Trooper. The paint on the base is still drying. I decided to base him up like the Games Workshop basing article says the men of the Empire are based in, which is basically like a Caradon Granite or Scorched Brown Chaos Black mix as the base coat, and then Bubonic Brown and Bleached Bone highlights, and then just grass and foliage on top, and then paint the rim Graveyard Earth. I decided to go with Khemri Brown because it's a little thicker. I'm gonna have to apply another coat because I can still see the black rim underneath. But I'm pretty happy with the way this State Trooper turned out. I think, you know, the details on these guys are really great. I added some scroll to his Purity Seal thing, and I decided to leave this one blank for now. But I mean, like, the detail on these models is really great. The amount of creative work that you can do to make them pop and look really interesting. Like, if you remember the other State Trooper I painted in the colors of Ostermark a while back, he had that that hourglass on the back of his uniform that you know, you can paint up and look really nice. And these models are just loaded out with these little bits of decoration that I think you can have a lot of fun with if you want. So thanks for watching. Again, this was a tutorial on how to paint a Talabheim colored Empire Trooper for the Warhammer Fantasy game. If you'd like to see a Warboss tutorial on how to paint something my way, then please leave me a comment or send me a request. I'll try to get to as much as I can, but you know how it is. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.